What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I want to give my post-fight for Showtime Extremes telecast in the UK. Shout out to Al Heyman, shout out to Eddie Hearn, making the fight happen. Carl Frampton versus Scott Quigg. And it was an enjoyable fight for midday. I'm out here in California, West Coast, Pacific time. And I'm going to break down the fight. As you know, in my post-fights, I give you guys the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, the good is, I think the right person won. I think Carl Frampton did win. I personally didn't see, like, as the UK commentators would say, controversy. He was saying, oh, I hope there's no controversy. I didn't see any controversy or controversy or any of that. I thought the right man won. I don't even necessarily think it had to be a split decision. Now, I was on the Dante's Boxing Nation radio show, and we brought up this fight, gave our kind of insight and prediction. I did pick Frampton to win, but I thought it could be a tough fight. Scott Quigg is clearly the bigger of the two men. He's a hard puncher, had some momentum with his stoppage of Kiko Martinez, and it's a grudge match. So I thought the right person won, and the real reason was Scott Quigg did good late, but he just had too much of a slow start for me. I thought in those early rounds he was very stiff. He, being the bigger man with the longer reach, he wasn't using his jab, and he definitely wasn't doing it consistently, and that was his biggest downfall. He should have jabbed. Like, this is a smaller guy. I understand Carl Frampton, he's a bit like kind of herky-jerky, squirrely. He uses some good upper body movement. He's athletic, but you're not supposed to be letting a shorter man just run up like into your wheelhouse like that. You have to keep him at bay with a jab. Again, a credit to some of Frampton's. He was doing the, like, where you shuffle your hands and doing some different feints and stuff like that, but you still got to do something. You're the bigger man, longer reach, you have power, and he didn't do that to neutralize a fidgety Frampton, and he let too many early rounds go by. Now, in those early rounds, this is kind of the bad and the ugly. I'm getting so sick of this gladiator type of mentality in boxing where people just assume that a fight from bell to bell, from start to finish, round 1 to round 12, is going to be explosive, non-stop action. It simply is not always going to be like that. If you respect box and respect the sport, you'll realize that, especially in these high-profile grudge matches. If you have a fight, notice a common denominator. When you have a rivalry in boxing, Carl Frampton, Scott Quigg, Cotto Canelo, Mexico versus Puerto Rico, yeah. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. After 5 years, we finally got that fight last year, right? These big, high-profile rivalries, nobody wants to make a mistake. Everybody wants to be the person to draw first blood, but nobody wants to get stretched, go out there and start fighting retarded. And that's why you see Framptons and Quiggs, they take a minute to open up. It's not, and it's making me mad listening to the UK commentators. They kept saying how, oh, this is not the fight we expected. There is round 1. What did you expect? They were just going to come out swinging for the fences? Again, when you watch Frampton versus his last opponent, I think that was his last opponent, Alejandro Gonzalez, that was a very scrappy fight from round 1. But he probably didn't expect much from that opponent, and then the guy made it a dogfight, so credit to Gonzalez. But he knew what he was up against for Scott Quigg. He knew this was for all the marbles. This was for UK bragging rights. This was a storied fight that had been brewing for years about, oh, this guy, he's ducking me, and Quigg doesn't want to fight. Frampton doesn't want to fight. They're both in interviews and media and Sky Sports and Daily Mail and all that with a grudge match. So, of course, they're going to be more tentative, more selective, because nobody wants to make that first mistake. Again, notice a common denominator. Mayweather-Pacquiao, Cotto Canelo, Frampton-Quigg. Notice that of all those build-ups with this deep brewing rivalry, there was no knockouts and there were no knockdowns. It went to the scorecards in all of those fights. Now, Cotto, when he fought Canelo, he had knocked out, if I'm not mistaken, his last 3 opponents, Daniel Gil, Martinez, and Delvin Rodriguez, or whoever it was. Canelo was coming off of a James Kirkland knockout. You look at Manny Pacquiao, he knocked Chris Algieri down 6 times before fighting Mayweather, etc. Frampton was looking good, and he was in a scrappy fight. Scott Quigg had just stretched Kiko Martinez, who Leo Santa Cruz is fighting later tonight on Showtime, right? So all these guys either had knockdowns, 1 or 2, or one of the people had real scrappy, action-packed fights with a knockdown or a knockout, or both. Like Canelo, he knocked Kirkland down and he would knock him out. But when he fought Cotto, what happened? And that's the other thing that I have to say is when you're up there in like with the best of your division, 50-50 fights, that's another thing that happens. Not just the bad blood and the rivalry. You're in there with somebody who's perceived as your contemporary, good elite level competition per your division. Canelo's not going to just, Cotto's a veteran, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to just go in there and blast him out necessarily. Of course he's going to be more tentative than fighting a James Kirkland who has no defense and doesn't have the big wins that Cotto has. Same thing with this Frampton Quigg. So I'm just getting sick of it from boxing fans. People, oh, the action, oh, I expected more. And follow my tweets. I was doing a round by round tweets with Frampton Quigg, and I was saying the same thing. And then it's funny that the tweets I was saying, Carl Frampton, a fighter, was later saying the same thing. I said, oh, Scott Quigg needs to utilize a jab. And then Carl Frampton said it maybe a few rounds after. And then I said the same thing I just said about it's a high-profile grudge match type of rivalry fight, so they're going to fight smart and be more selective than fighting a Kiko Martinez or whatever. Because this is, everything's on the line with this fight. Then a few rounds later, Carl Frampton said the same thing. It's a big fight, and it's a big build-up. No one wants to give anything away, period. And that's just what happens. If Kell Brook were to fight Amir Khan this summer, it would probably be the same thing for some rounds where they have to feel each other out. So back to the fight, Frampton Quigg. I enjoyed it. It did start off slow, but this is what happens. I understand and respect boxing. It comes with the territory because nobody wants to mess up. But I give good for Scott Quigg. I do give him credit because he did exactly what Vladimir Klitschko failed to do when he fought Tyson Fury. He needed to do something drastic to change the tone and the pace of the fight, the ebb and flow. Klitschko did nothing, and Tyson Fury just continued doing what he was doing and what he was successful at early, and that's why he took his titles. And it's disappointing for Klitschko because he was a long-standing dominant champion. Now, what Scott Quigg did was the opposite. He get in there with Carl Frampton, and he made it into a dogfight in those mid to late rounds, like rounds 8, 9. I don't have all the round numbers off the top of my head, but he was unleashing some hellish body shots, and it looked like it was really affecting Frampton. And Frampton had to bite down. That's what happens when you're a good competitive fight. So I give props to Scott Quigg because he was clearly down in my book, losing the fight, but he at least tried to make the conversion to making it his fight, and he secured and netted a lot of those last rounds because he was digging with some harder shots, impactful shots, and I really liked his dedication to the body. He was slowing that fidgety stuff down, forcing Carl Frampton to fight in pocket, and he was getting the best of some of those exchanges. So it wasn't, if the whole fight went like it went the first 5 rounds for Quigg, then there would be a performance for him to hold his head down about. But the fact that he tried to make it his fight, I give him props for that. I wouldn't mind a rematch, but that's what happens in these big high-profile fights. Other thing, props to Carl Frampton because after a bad round 11, I thought Quigg looked really good in round 11. Frampton came back strong and bit down in round 12, and I thought he won round 12. So it was a solid fight, midday, Frampton, Quigg. Off of that performance, I don't see either of them beating Rigondeaux at bantamweight, my personal opinion. You guys drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you want to see. Do you want to see if Leo Santa Cruz gets past Kiko Martinez like Frampton and Quigg did? Do you want to see him fight Leo or Quigg Frampton? Do you want to see Rigondeaux? Who do you guys want to see? Drop all the good stuff in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.